All right, we are ready for our speakers. So everyone, put on your carapace and prepare for a great group of speakers. We are going to, speaker number one. 2 weeks ago, he stood before us and brought light to the guides, coaches, and mentors that brought us to where we are today. I'm sorry to say he's back here to do it again. Stories on how he's been the guide, coach, and mentor. Please welcome Toastmaster Sean Esler.
I'll say all this with a sigh. Somewhere, ages and ages hence, 2 roads diverged in the woods. And I took the road that was traveled by. And that has made all of it. Toastmasters against Robert Frost. 2 weeks ago, I stood at this podium and we talked about the guides that got us on the path that led us here, the coaches that taught us how to walk that path, and the mentors that brought us here today and longer. And at the end of that speech, I threw out a question to everybody. I said, how do you fill that role for someone else? And naturally, we all forgot. So I'm going to do this myself. And it got me thinking, how do I fill this role for other people? Well, naturally, apparently, being a parent is the easiest way to share. And today I'm going to pick on one of my sons. I love him dearly, really I do, despite what I'm going to say. But I've got a 12-year-old, Peyton. And it got me thinking, as a guide, we're constantly getting our kids started, right? In his case, a couple of years ago in elementary school, he got to choose where he went to middle school. And Seminole County has a ton of magnet programs you can go to. So we got together and we started talking about it. He said, here's an arts program, here's the engineering program, here's the sciences, here's the business entrepreneurship program. So what did he choose? Did he choose the business entrepreneurship? No. Engineering? No. The sciences? No. He went to the arts program, which is great because we know what arts do to education and the learning increases. But did he go into the musical arts? No. Was it the visual arts, painting, sculpting? No. My son chose puppetry. Yes, Kermit the Frog, puppetry. Really had to dig deep for the pride in that one. But Peyton's a special kid. And I love him dearly, and although he waited till the very last minute to make that decision, he got there. He's enjoying it, which is great. But fortunately, over the years, we've also had the opportunity to do some coaching with Peyton. See, when he was in first grade, we got into scouting. We got into that together. And year after year, we go through a lot of the same things. The scout week, the scout law. We talk about ethical outdoor conservatorship. We talk about hiking, safety, first aid, and camping. And at least 4 or 5 times every year, we would go camping. Now, obviously, as a young child, you have to pack for it. You've got to make sure they have all the right equipment, the tent, the sleep bag. You pack it all into the van for them. But as they get older, we start teaching them to do this themselves, so that when they go out on their own, they're ready. So when he crossed over into middle school, into the troop, he went out on his first camping trip by himself. A troop of boys he had never really known well. 1,000 miles away into Georgia Mountains, without mom and dad for the first time, and this time for an entire week. So he got all this stuff together, and off he went, and as he embarked, there were no tears, there was no hesitation, because over the course of those years, we coached him well, and he had the confidence he needed that he knew what he was doing. So he followed. Yes, 24 hours later, we got the call. I love Peyton, really, I do. but he makes me cry. He wasn't homesick. That's not what we meant to call it. No, my son forgot to bring his change of clothes. And his sleeping bag. So the only carapace he had was that little tent for an entire week in the mountains. He will never forget that again. I hope. I love my son, really, I do. But as a parent, over the course of years, you get to mentor them. Because you know this is a long-term prospect, and everybody out here understands your mom is your mom for the entirety of your life. Your father is your father for the entirety of your life. I get those calls on a regular basis from my mom. So with Peyton, we understand that we'll be mentoring him in his organizational skills, obviously. And we try, year after year, to get color-coded folders for school. We get big labels on his notebooks, so he knows where his notes are going to go for each subject. We talk about his grades on a regular basis. And yet, 3 weeks into school, there was no surprise when we look at his project report and find 14 missing assignments. Yes, civics, math, science, none in puppetry. So we do what any parent does. We go to his bedroom and dig into the biological disaster that was there. That was frightening. We go into this backpack that is packed, like at the center of this, there is some priceless piece of china. And what is packing that in there? Crumpled up assignments and tests. And all these handwritten notes. Oh, and a few notes from the teacher. Peyton is a special child, and I love him dearly. Organization is not his strong suit. So as a guy who gets them on the path, as a coach that teaches them to walk, and as a mentor, there's all these tools at our disposal as parents. It's not going to keep them from skinning their knees on that path and tripping over their own 2 big feet. But we have a lot of tools. Now, I've recently found out that Child Protective Services frowns upon the use of shock collars and these long garter cords. But if anybody's wondering, flip-flops are still okay, and rolled up newspapers, so you've got tools, Toastmasters. Thank you very much.